Hello, hi guys. This is CA Balakrishna from Lecturepedia.in. How are you? Hope you people are doing well. Even I am fantastic. Now, in the today's class, we will be discussing question and answers from audit in an automated environment. I'll be discussing this question and answers from the question bank. And if you want to buy this question bank along with audit concise book, I'll be giving you the link in the description. You can visit there to purchase these books. Okay. Now, without any waste of time, let us quickly revise this question and answers. First question: describe application controls and give three examples of automated application controls. First of all, you need to remember that application controls will operate at business process level, and these application controls, they can be either manual or automated. See, they will operate at business process level and they can be either automated or manual. And also these application controls can be either preventive or detective. And some of the examples of these application controls include edit checks and validation of input data, sequence number checks, user limit checks, reasonableness checks, and mandatory data fields. You can remember these points with the help of mnemonic Mr. Use. Okay, M for mandatory data fields, R for reasonable checks, U for user limit checks, S for sequence number checks, E for edit checks and validation of input data. Hope that is clear. Second question: in a controls based audit, the audit approach can be classified into three broad phases comprising of planning, execution, completion. You are required to briefly explain the relevant considerations for every phase in above audit approach in case of automated environment. See, first of all, any type of audit, it will be having three phases. One is planning stage, second one is execution stage, and the final one is completion or reporting stage. Now, what he is asking is, in case you are auditing in an automated environment, what are the special considerations that you have to look for at each of these three stages of audit? Let us see. First, during the risk assessment phase, auditor needs to consider the risk that might arise due to the use of information technology. Okay, the organization, it is using the information technology. So at the risk assessment stage, auditor needs to consider the risk that might arise in the organization because of use of the information technology. Next, when obtaining understanding of the business process and performing walkthroughs, auditor needs to consider the use of information technology systems and applications. Okay, the use of information technology and applications by the organization should be considered by the auditor while he is understanding the environment and understanding the business of the organization. Okay, next, while assessing entity level controls are two types. One is direct entity level controls, indirect entity level controls. So while assessing the entity level controls, the aspects related to IT governance need to be understood and reviewed by the auditor. Next, pervasive controls including segregation of duties, general IT controls and applications should be considered and reviewed. Okay, and during the testing phase, see, this would be planning, you can consider, and this would be execution, and this would be completion or reporting stage. Now, in the execution, during testing phase, the results of general IT controls would impact the nature, timing and extent of the testing. And finally, at the completion stage, evaluation of control deficiencies may require the use of data analytics and computer assisted audit techniques. Like this, at each and every stage, auditor needs to consider the use of information technology by the organization. Okay. Next, question number 3. A real-time environment is a type of automated environment in which business operations and transactions are initiated, processed, and recorded immediately as they happen without any delay. This is the definition of a real-time environment. Okay, a real-time environment is an automated environment in which transactions are initiated, processed, and recorded on a real-time basis. That is, as and when they happen. Now, with regard to this, what he is asking, it has several critical IT components. The real-time environment has several critical IT components that enable anytime, anywhere transactions to take place. Yes. Now, you are required to name the components and its examples of real-time environment. There are 4 components of real-time environment. What are they? Applications, hardware, and to connect applications and hardware we have middleware and networks. Examples for applications, there are various ERPs, Oracle, all these will be examples of application. And example for hardware, data centers, backup and storage devices and power supply devices, all these they will be coming under examples of hardware. Next, examples of network, we have LAN, WAN, okay, wide area network, internet hosting, local area network, all these will be coming under network. Next, middleware, under middleware we have ATM switches and various web servers. Okay, these are the 4 critical IT components in a uh, real time environment. Okay, and the examples for real time environment, airlines and railway reservations, and core banking software of any bank, and e-commerce portals, all these are examples of real time environment where transactions are initiated, uh, processed and recorded on a real time basis. Okay. Next, question number 4. In an automated environment, the data stored and processed in systems can be used to get various insights into the way business operates. Okay, this data can be useful for preparation of management information system, that is MIS reports, and electronic dashboards that give high level snapshot of a business performance. In view of above, you are required to briefly discuss the meaning of data analytics. What is meant by data analytics? That is the first question he is asking you. And example of circumstances when auditing in an automated environment, auditors can apply the concept of data analytics. He is asking you 2 questions. First one is, what is meant by data analytics? Data, with the help of data analytics, you can gather meaningful information from the raw data. That is the definition of data analytics. Let us see. Generating and preparing meaningful information from the raw data using processes, tools, and techniques is known as data analytics. And what are the various areas in which these data analytics can be used in a real-time environment? Let us see. In an automated environment, first one, during preliminary analytics, you can use this data analytics. During risk assessment, you can use this data analytics. During control testing, for the purpose of testing the controls, you can use this data analytics. And non-standard journal analysis, to analyze the journals. And evaluation of deficiencies that you have identified, to evaluate those deficiencies also you can use data analytics. And finally, fraud risk assessment. In these areas of an automated environment, you can use data analytics. Next, question number 5. Generating and preparing meaningful information from raw system data using process tools and techniques is known as data analytics. Yes, that is the definition of data analytics. And data analytics methods used in audit are known as computer assisted audit techniques. Okay, if you use data analytics methods in the audit, you will call them as computer assisted audit techniques. Now you are required to give a suggested approach to get the benefit from the use of cats. Okay, in order to obtain maximum benefit from the using these computer assisted audit techniques, what is the procedure that has to be followed by you? Let us see. First of all, you need to understand the business environment, including information technology that is being used. After that, you need to define the objective and the criteria. Okay, define the objective and criteria. See, many students, they will be confusing with this objective and criteria. Basically, what is difference between objective and criteria? Let me tell you just with an example. Now, financial statements. Now, the auditor, the objective of the auditor while auditing these financial statements is to determine whether these financial statements are showing true and fair view. Okay, to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are showing true and fair view, that is the objective. Now, to attain that objective, auditor will compare these financial statements to the criteria. Here, in this case, you can take criteria as accounting standards or Indian accounting standards. Let's say to these financial statements, Indian accounting standards are applicable. Now, auditor, he will apply the criteria, that is Ind AS, to check whether financial statements have been prepared by the management as per the requirements of Ind AS or not. So, you can simply remember that criteria means like a benchmark. Okay, you will compare the financial statements with the criteria, that is benchmark, to determine whether criteria is met or not. That is the difference between object objective and criteria. So you need to define the objective and criteria. Next, identify the source and format of data. Okay, once you have defined the objective and criteria, you need to identify from where I can gather the data and in which format I require the data. Okay, after deciding this, you need to extract the data from that source. Extract the data. After extracting the data, you have to verify whether the data is complete and accurate. Completeness and accuracy of extracted data. Next, apply the criteria on the data obtained. Okay, here at the second stage, you have determined the criteria. You have to check whether the data is as per that criteria or not. And if you find any variations, validate and confirm the results. Okay, by following these standard steps, you can get maximum benefit from the use of CATs, computer assisted audit techniques. Next question. While evaluating the risks and controls at entity level, the auditor should take cognizance of prevalent direct and indirect entity level controls operating in the entity. Explain what they pertain to with few examples. He is asking you to define direct entity level controls, indirect entity level controls with the help of examples. First of all, what are direct entity level controls? Direct entity level controls, they operate at a broader level like business process level or business sub process level. See, direct entity level controls operate at a level higher than business activity, such as business process or sub process level. Some of the examples of direct entity level controls are business performance reviews and monitoring of effectiveness of control activities by internal audit functions. See, these direct entity level controls, they will help to detect and prevent the errors. Whereas indirect entity level controls, they will not help for prevention or detection of the errors. Instead, they will help the direct entity level controls to operate effectively. See, indirect entity level controls do not relate to any specific business process, transaction, or account balance, and hence cannot prevent or detect misstatements. However, they contribute indirectly to the effective operation of direct entity level controls. What could be examples? Company code of conduct, HR policies, job roles and responsibilities. Okay, all these are indirect entity level controls. By implementing these indirect entity level controls, just say for example, human resource policies. Okay, now in the human resource policies, you are hiring those people who are very helpful to the entity, at the same time who are having integrity. Okay, if you hire the people having integrity, the chance of those people committing frauds or errors they might commit, the chance of committing them frauds is very less. So here you are indirectly eliminating the frauds. So this is indirect entity level controls. Next, question number 7. The auditors are required to understand, evaluate, and validate the entity level controls as a part of audit engagement. Yes, the results of which has an impact on the nature, timing, extent of other audit procedures. In evaluating the effect of such control, existence, effectiveness, and assessment of the whistleblower policy in the company is very important. Specify the procedure you would perform for understanding and evaluation of such whistleblower policy. See, he is asking you about whistleblower policy. How you will verify the whistleblower policy in a company? First of all, you will check whether this company is first of all having a whistleblower policy or not. Does the company have whistleblower policy or not? If it is having a whistleblower policy, whether it is properly authorized or not. See, is this policy documented and approved? Next, whether this whistleblower policy is properly communicated to the employees or not. Has the whistleblower policy has been communicated to all the employees or not? After that, whether the employees are aware that there is a particular whistleblower policy in the company. Okay, whether the employees are having knowledge about this whistleblower policy or not, that will be verified. Or employees aware of this policy and understand its purpose and their obligations. Next, has company taken any measures to communicate or to train the employees of the company about the whistleblower policy or not? Has the company taken measures, that is training, to make the employees understand the contents and purpose of the whistleblower policy? And does the company monitor effectiveness of the policy from time to time? Effectiveness means there will be a particular objective for every policy that you implement. If that objective is achieved due to that policy, then it will be said that the policy is effective because the objective has been achieved. So whether the management is continuously monitoring the effectiveness of the policy or not, that means whether the policy is achieving the objective or not, this has to be verified by the management. If there is any lapses in the policy, because of the lapses the objective is not being achieved, in that case the management has to continuously improve the policy. So this has to be verified by the auditor. Does the company monitor effectiveness of the policy from time to time? And how does the company deal with deviations and non-compliance? If any employee does not comply with the whistleblower policy, how the company will deal with it? What type of punishment it will give or what type of action it will take up? First of all, what is whistleblower policy? I guess you know what is whistleblower policy. It is a complaint mechanism in the company, okay, which will operate internally. Next, question number 8. A company is using ERP for all its business processes, including procurement, sales, finance, and reporting. You are required to explain the statutory auditor's approach to identify the risks associated with the information technology systems. Okay, to identify the risks associated with information technology system, what approach has to be followed by the statutory auditors. What steps has to be followed? First of all, statutory auditor has to understand the information technology and business processes that are being followed within the organization. After understanding the business processes, auditor has to determine those areas which are prone to high risk. See, the next process will be to identify areas, events that can lead to risks, such as here an example has been given. Now, once you identify the areas that are prone to risk, you need to prioritize the risks. That is, which risk is having more probability of occurrence. Okay, with the help of that, you need to prioritize the risk. The auditor should analyze the risks, that is the impact it will have if it materializes. Based on that impact, the next step will be to prioritize in terms of probability of how often the risk will occur. Okay, based on priority, the auditor has to design the audit procedures to uh, you know to reduce that risk. Next, question number 9. The volatility, unpredictability, and pace of fast changes that exists in the automated environment today is far greater than in the past, and consequently, it throws more risk to businesses, which requires them to have a need to continuously manage such risk. State various risks which an enterprise may have to face and manage. He is asking you various types of risks. Here is the list of various types of risks. To remember this list of risks, I'll give you a mnemonic. The mnemonic is my real tiger has my real tiger pot of my real tiger pot of pirates evil cat. Beware. Now here, M for market risk, R for regulatory and compliance risk, T for technology and security risk, F for financial reporting risks, O for operational risk, P for product or project risk, E for environmental risk, C for credit risk, B for business partner risk. With the help of this mnemonic, you can remember all these risks. Hope that is clear. Next, question number 10. SA 315 requires the auditor to obtain an understanding of the entity and its environment as part of risk assessment procedures to identify and assess risk of material misstatement. Yes. List the areas of which auditor is required to obtain understanding in an automated environment. Okay. As per SA 315, auditor need to obtain understanding of the entity and its environment. Now, in an automated environment, regarding which aspects auditor needs to obtain understanding. Here, first of all, in case of automated environment, auditor needs to understand the information technology, the applications that are being used by the entity. The applications that are being used by the entity. Now, for these applications, what is the respective information technology infrastructure? Details of IT infrastructure components for each of these applications that has to be understood. Next, the organization structure and governance, the policies, procedures, and processes that are being followed, and finally, IT risks and controls. These are the 5 aspects that has to be understood by the auditor in case of an automated environment while conducting audit in an automated environment. Next, question number 11. Beta Hotel operates in an automated environment and uses application software for front desk, guest reservation, restaurant and kitchen orders and billing, for which CA Anil has been appointed as a auditor. Okay, they are using a particular various application softwares. Okay, for each activity there are various application softwares that are present in this hotel, and to audit this hotel, CA Anil has been appointed as auditor. Now, guide CA Anil the various key aspects that needs to be considered by him while understanding of automated environment of the company in accordance with SA 315, and is he required to document the same? If yes, illustrate the by giving some examples. Now, in an automated environment, what has to be understood? Those 5 points which we have just discussed, the same points you need to write. Next, documentation. How the documentation has to be done? Now he needs to document the various applications that are being used by this hotel. Okay, in the question they have said that this hotel is using various applications for various processes. Now auditor needs to document what are the applications that are being used for each of the process. Let us see how this documentation can be done. Example of the documentation. First of all, the structure of the documentation is name of the application that is being used, and what is the purpose for which it is being used, and the database, which type of database is being used for that particular application, and operating system that is being used by that application, and network in which it is being run, and server and storage, and various applications. SAP is a integrated application software. Revs, it is a front desk guest reservation management software, and it is using MS SQL Server as database, and it operates on Windows 2016, and it is a in-house developed. Okay, and its storage is HP Server internal HDD. COTS, it is a restaurant kitchen orders management software. Bill system, it is a billing software, and it is using Oracle 12c as database, and it runs on Windows 2016. It is a packaged software, and HP server internal HDD is being used as a storage device. So this way you need to document the softwares that are being used, or the applications that are being used. You need to remember, you need to just mention the name of the application and the purpose for which it is being used. Next, the database that is being used for the application, okay, from which it is getting the data, and the operating system on which it is being run, and the network and the storage device. This way you need to document. Next question, question number 12. Explain some of the international IT related standards, guidelines and frameworks. Now there are various standards, guidelines and frameworks that has to be followed by the auditor while conducting audit in our automated environment. What are some of the examples of those guidelines or frameworks? First of all, you can write example of auditing standards that are applicable in India. Okay, standards on auditing issued by ICAI. Next, section number 143 of Companies Act 2013 is having a specific requirement with respect to a particular report. Internal financial controls over financial reporting. You need to, the auditor needs to give his opinion on the internal financial controls over the financial reporting as per section number 143 of the Companies Act. Even that you can mention. Okay, internal financial controls over financial reporting. Next, in the same way, in India, as per section 143, auditor needs to give his opinion as per on the needs to give his opinion on the internal financial control or financial reporting process as per Companies Act. In the same way, in America, there is Sarbanes-Oxley Act. As per this act, in the listed entities, in the listed American entities, auditor needs to give his opinion on the internal financial controls or financial reporting process of those entities. Next, ISO 27001 2013. Basically, this is a information system management system standard that has been issued by International Organization for Standardization. ISO has issued this standard. And what is the purpose of this standard? This standard provides a framework, guidelines, and procedures for implementing information security and related controls. Now, in the organization, there will be various data, various information that will be available. To ensure security of that information, what are the security aspects that has to be implemented within the entity, that will be specified by ISO 27000 2013. Hope that is clear. Next, in the same way, there is information technology infrastructure library and ISO 2000 provide a set of best practices, processes, and procedures for IT service management. Okay, information technology and infrastructure library and ISO 2000. These two, they provide procedures and processes for IT service management, such as change management, incident management, problem management, IT operations, IT asset management. In an organization, if they are using information technology, they need to manage that information technology. So how to manage that information technology? Regarding these guidelines, policies, and procedures will be prescribed by this ISO 20000 and also ITIL. Okay, next, payment card industry data security standard, or shortly you can call it as PCI DSS. Now, all the companies that are operating in this payment card industry, like credit card, debit card, they need to follow certain set of safety standards which will be prescribed in this PCI DSS standard. Okay, next, American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, they have published a framework under the Statements and Standards on Auditing for Attest Engagement, SSAE number 16. As per this standard, for reporting on controls at service organization, there are three reports. One is SOC1. This is for reporting on controls at service organization relevant to user entities, internal control over financial reporting. There is this concept of user entity and service entity. Whenever any organization outsources some of its processes to the service entity, then the auditor of the user entity will be having interest in the controls of the service organization, because the data is being processed by the service organization. The data belonging to the user entity is processed by the service organization. So the auditor of the user entity will be interested to know about the controls that are operating at the service organization. Now, so regarding this, SOC1 report will be issued by the auditor of the service organization, which exclusively deals with controls that are operating at service organization relevant to user entities internal controls, whereas SOC2 and SOC3 for reporting on controls at service organization relevant to security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, or privacy. Now, SOC1 and SOC2 are restricted use reports. Restricted use reports means they will be made available only to the internal users. They will not be made available to the general public. And also these restricted use reports, they will have detailed analysis regarding the controls of the entity. Whereas SOC3 is a general use report. It will be made available to the public. Next, COBIT, Control Objectives for Information and Related Technologies. It has been published by ISACA, Information Systems Audit and Control Association. What will be there in COBIT? COBIT provides the required tools, resources, and guidelines that are relevant to IT governance, risk compliance, and information security. Regarding this, COBIT will provide standards and policies and procedures. Next, cyber security framework, which deals with security with respect to uh, this websites. Okay, cyber security, and it has been published by NITSM, NIST, that is National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. These are various standards that the auditor can refer with respect to audit in an automated environment. Basically, this question, it has been asked in the previous examination in May 2023. It has been asked. Next question, question number 13. Mrs. RST and Associates have been appointed as auditors of ADA Limited for the financial year 22-23. Okay, the process, operations, accounting, and decisions are carried out by using computers in ADA Limited. Okay, they are using information technology. Mrs. RST and Associates understand that there are several aspects that they should consider in determining the level of automation and complexity in business environment of ADA. Okay, while planning the audit work, the engagement partners discussed with the audit staff about the various types of controls in the automated environment that are put in place to mitigate the IT risks and to maintain confidentiality, integrity, availability, and security of data, such as general IT controls, application controls, and IT dependent controls. Okay, various controls have been established in the entity. Basically, there are three types of control. There will be three types of controls in an automated environment. One is general IT controls, application controls, and IT dependent controls. Now he is asking you to briefly explain general IT controls, application controls, and IT dependent controls. Basically, these general IT controls, they will help proper functioning of various application controls, and application controls, they will operate at the business process level, and the general IT dependent controls, they will use some of the information that has been generated by the information technology. Let us see this application controls. We have already discussed, we have discussed one of the question related to application controls. See, general IT controls are policies and procedures that relate to many applications and support the effective functioning of application controls. And these general IT controls, they apply to mainframe, miniframe, and end user environment. General IT controls are known as pervasive controls or indirect controls. These are two other names for general IT controls. And general IT controls include controls over the following. What are they? Controls over data center and network operations, controls over system software acquisition, change and maintenance, control over application system acquisition, development and maintenance, control over program change, control over access security. General IT controls includes control over following aspects. I have explained them in the revision video. If you want, you can also watch the revision video to quickly revise the entire concept. And this application control we have covered in one of the question. IT dependent controls. IT dependent controls are basically manual controls that make use of some form of data that has been generated by the information technology. Examples of general IT controls we will see in the next question. In the next question, there are certain examples. See, question number 14. Identify the controls which are automated, manual, and IT dependent manual. Now, he has given various controls. From this, you need to identify which control is automated, which control is manual, and which control is IT dependent. Let us see. First one, price master configured in sales master can only be edited by authorized personnel in the system. Here other than authorized person, no one can edit. So this is a automated control. System is not allowing any other person other than authorized person to edit, so it is a automated control. Okay, automated control. Invoice cannot be booked in SAP in case purchase orders are not approved. Even this is also automated control. Inventory aging report is pulled out from the system based on which provisioning is calculated after analyzing the future demand by the inventory personnel and approved by the controller. Here both information technology and manual is involved, so it is IT dependent. Next, all invoices are signed by warehouse personnel before the goods are dispatched to the customer. This is manual. Manually he is signing. Credit limit is assigned to the customer and goods cannot be sold in excess of credit limit configured in the system. This is automated. System is not allowing to sell the goods if the credit limit is not available. All changes to credit limit is approved manually. So it is a manual control. Aging report is pulled from the SAP based on which provisioning is calculated by accounting personnel and approved by the financial controller. Again, it is IT dependent. PO, GRN, goods received note and invoice are matched by the system before it is posted in the financial records. It is also automated controller. By this, question and answer discussion of automated environment is completed. If you feel like you need uh, some concept explanation for the automated environment, I have quickly covered the concept, quickly revised the concept related to automated environment in the revision video. You can watch that revision video. Okay, in the next class we'll meet with a new chapter, and I'm winding up this video as of now. Take care, bye bye, see you.